Welcome to the Rock the Stage Show. Each week, international media expert Rich Bontrager has in-depth and personal conversations with celebrities, top leaders, authors, speakers, and media professionals. Now, from the Rock the Stage studios, here's your host, The Trigger, Rich Bontrager.
Welcome back, Sunday nights. It's Rock the Stage Show. Hi, it's Rich Bontrager, The Trigger, and I'm glad you're with us tonight for another great episode. And we're delving into leadership, momentum, and the brand of you once again, which we love talking about the brand of you. You know, when you are in business, everything changes. It's not just about your service or product anymore. It's about the power of your presence, your focus, and how you create momentum through your business, and now virtually as well. This week, we're diving into what it really takes to build and grow a business when it is you are the brand of you. Get ready to uncover proven strategies, insider wisdom that can help you as an entrepreneur, expert, or leader, not just thrive, but truly scale and grow bigger and bigger. But it may surprise you as we get into our conversation tonight. You know, your approach might be a little bit differently when you get done with us. It might be more like thinking like an artist, but acting like a business owner. There's a creative side to everything we do now. Tonight, Mark LeBlanc is a Hall of Fame speaker, and he is joining us. He's a renowned business coach, author, and co-author of 7 books, including his groundbreaking book, Growing Your Business. In his spare time, he walks across Spain for 30 days. Plus, he has $3,000 grants to entrepreneurs and new business people under the age of 30, which we're going to talk about his endeavor there. Please welcome the Rock the Stage Show tonight, Mark LeBlanc from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Great to have you.
Thank you, Rich. It's good to be with you.
So let's get into this a little bit about business. You are a seasoned, and I mean seasoned business expert. You've done this for decades about growing your business. But I'm interested, what's the biggest mind shift now that we need to understand? What's the biggest shift that you see happening in the landscape of business?
You know, I think part of it is that from time we get beaten down. And, you know, I really want to encourage your listeners and viewers, focus on what you have control over. There's so many reasons for us to sort of throw in the towel. And you're right, I've been my own boss for 43 years, and I still remember that kid. And for the most part, when we're talking about the small business world or, you know, entrepreneurship, the opportunities are everywhere.
Yeah.
I think the next 10 years are going to be amazing.
So with that, with all the years of experience in coaching, consulting that you do, I'm curious, what's the biggest mistake you made over the career? Looking back, is there something that stands out like, shouldn't have done that, or I learned through that? What made the biggest gaffe?
Well, the biggest mistake of my career, and I freely share this, is I thought I was better than I was. I thought I was smarter than I was. I thought, even as a young guy, just a punk kid stepping out into business for myself, I had this mindset, I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But when I think about for how long I was in survival mode or trying to figure it out, I shudder now to think of where I might be had I raised my hand, had I reached out for help, if I had a mentor, a coach, a guide, a Sherpa of sorts to keep me on the straight and narrow. Because today, more than ever before, there are tangents disguised as opportunities, and they can take you off track so fast.
I love that. So let's jump off right there, because there are schools, and some of them lack great opportunity. They look incredible, and I've done that. I've gone down the turn left, and it's like, that was bad news. What can we do to help our viewers and listeners to understand? Bench those, check those. Don't just jump immediately.
Well, most of the time when we jump, down one of these tangents or detours, or a squirrel, as you said, or a shiny object. It's usually when we are in a bit of a storm.
Mm.
There's doubt or uncertainty or chaos, or we're in a bit of a valley. Our cash flow might be not as strong as we would like it to be. And all of a sudden, something comes across our desk, and it's like, uh, uh, maybe I should try this.
Right.
And we jump, and it's not long. And if it's not part of our core focus or core work,
Mhm.
it is going to be a tangent disguised as an opportunity.
So let me take it back. If I heard correctly, around the age 21, there were two words that inspired and changed your life. And if it's correct, the words were "you're fired." Can you tell us about that?
Well, I never imagined being a small business owner, and definitely for this long. And I had a job once for about 6 months, and I discovered early on that I was unemployable. Inspired by the two words "you're fired," and Rich, I made a vow at 21 that I would do whatever it would take to make it on my own. And I delivered pizzas at night while I was working my business during the day in my early to mid 20s. And pretty soon I didn't have to deliver pizzas anymore. But I was bound, determined. And sometimes people see me now and they don't understand the grind or the pain of it all. But
Yeah.
I think I quit 1,000 times. And fortunately, I recommitted myself 1,001, and and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
So how much of that bouncing back is passion? Your heart pumps it. You can't give it. I mean, I've been in and out of broadcasting. I have to come back to the microphone. I just have to do this. I can't get away with it. Was it kind of the same thing for you? This passion boiled up in with you to keep going?
Well, yes, I'm very fortunate. At 21, I found out that professional speaking could be a career. And it was early December of um, 1982. And I went to a meeting of the National Speakers Association, and I went home a couple of weeks later, and I told my dad, I now know what I want to do for the rest of my life. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "I'm going to be a professional speaker." And he looked at me and he said, "Can you make any money doing that?" And I said, "I don't know, but I met this group of speakers and they're all rich." Now, little did I know at 21 what I know today. They were not all rich, of course, but where could a young guy
Mm-hmm.
take a step, put his toe into a profession, and have the opportunity to have the kind of impact and influence that I've been able to have?
So there's a process in writing a keynote. There's a clarity of rewriting. We can get it sharper. It's not quite there. Translate that journey of writing that keynote to get clarity to the business world. How much clarity do business people need to have now about what they do it, why they do it? Because the audience, it's kind of like the speaking community. The audience wants to know, like, and trust you, but we're jaded now. So how do you
Mhm.
get that clarity?
Well, I think you hit on it, and a lack of clarity is one of the three reasons why people fail. A lack of clarity, a lack of congruency, and a lack of consistency. But I will say or share that one of the challenges that so many entrepreneurs of so many different types and stripes, they live in their head. And nothing great happens if you leave it in your head or you leave it in your heart. So whether I am writing a speech, whether I'm writing my next book, um, uh, I know the power of the pen, even in terms of writing your ideas down. You may not need a full blown 30-page business plan, But nothing great happens if you leave it in your head or you leave it in your heart. And so the power of the pen and getting your thoughts, your ideas, your strategies, your why, we hear a lot about that
Yep.
today,
Yes.
is but too often we are wishing and waiting for something to great happen, and everything is sort of competing for the bandwidth in our mind.
So let's talk about the momentum side, which I know you speak on, but that head talk often derailed momentum. You don't intend to have it happen, but our head doesn't see the momentum, and we often jump off the train tracks and stop. Right?
Well, it's the reason why New Year's resolutions often will not stick,
Right.
and and because it's the great commitment,
Mhm.
and we're not in shape for momentum. And so, what I often point out is the what I call the difference between enders and repeaters. And so, enders are those things on your to-do list that you do get done, check off the list.
Yeah.
Repeaters are momentum building. What are those regular and recurring practices and strategies that you do? What do you do every day? What do you do every week? What do you do every month, every quarter, or once a year? Those are the what I call the repeaters. And I have financial repeaters, I have marketing repeaters, I have sales repeaters, I have health and wellness repeaters, I have fun repeaters. What do I do for fun on
Yeah.
a daily basis? And what do I do to market myself on a daily basis?
Well, now that we're talking about the brand of you more and more, it's not the product, the services. Know, like, and trust has taken over. So
Mhm.
you are the brand, not just the CEO. You are the brand. You're the Colonel Sanders of your operation.
Right.
So wrap that all into this momentum, but planning, strategy, and repeaters. You have to get better at that faster than ever before, don't you?
Well, yes, yes. Speed is important, um, but better to be in gear than in neutral.
Okay.
Okay. And a lot of professionals, for example, that are trying to build their practice or their business, get caught up in the getting ready to get ready mode. And momentum comes from being in gear.
Mhm.
And so, whether you're moving at the pace of a snail or a turtle or a hare, you cannot shift into neutral.
Well, and I think one of the biggest thing that keeps us in neutral is I don't want a mistake. I don't
Yeah.
want a mistake. But we learn from our mistake. So part of being in gear is accept the fact you may fail, you may bumble, but you're moving and learning. How can we help our viewers and listeners understand that valuable nugget of you're okay, get up, go again?
Well, I call it resetting your counters to zero every 24 hours. And if you get into the practice of resetting your counters to zero every 24 hours, it's easier to reset your counters to zero every 30 days. And so, whether you score, if I have a presentation last week and I get a standing ovation, I have to quickly let that go and get ready for the next one. If I
Mhm.
have a presentation, yesterday that doesn't go very well, I've got to quickly reset and let you learn from it, let it go, and keep moving forward.
Now you've dabbled in you're an author, you're a speaker, you run a business, you consultant, but you also had a print company for a while early in your career. What did that teach you about this idea of planning strategy? Because print's all plan it out, map it out, lay it out. It's got to be in the right order for the right copy. What did that teach you about all this?
If you can run a printing company, you can do anything you want in the world. Um,
Whoa.
um, and of course, I was in my early to mid to late 20s before, as I was building that, and I sold it when I was 31 years old. And but if you think about it, we had a retail component, we had a service component, and we had a manufacturing component to our creative and printing company. And there are so many different levers to pull in that business that I just learned that the work ethic, the
Mhm.
work effort required to run that kind of a business is extraordinary. And it takes an exponential degree of commitment and doing, I hate to say this, doing what I'm doing today is a lot easier than managing a team of 5 or 10 or 15 people that are manufacturing over here, a creative department over here, a sales department over here. I mean, there's a lot of moving levers to that. But I really I built that business and sold it in 1992, and I really jumped off that cliff. I mean, for all practical purposes, I was a
Right.
small business success story, but I really moved into the next chapter of my work feeling like if I can do that, I can certainly do this.
So I want to weave into your personal life a little bit. You are a believer, and every year you go on a spiritual pilgrimage. You do a 500-mile walk, but this is in Spain. You've done it 4 times. You were talking about being steadfast, about being determined, about not getting off the path. What is that spiritual journey, first of all, overlaid and taught you about the business world? Before we talk spiritual for a second, what have you gleaned from that? It's 500 miles. That's a long trek.
Well, I will keep this very short, but it is true. I've walked the Camino de Santiago, 500-mile trek across Spain 4 times, and each one is incredibly grueling. Each one is profound, but quite frankly, on Camino 1, I I held on to the idea you can always take one more step. No matter how miserable you are, no matter how badly your feet are bruised and blistered and bleeding, you can always take one more step. On Camino 2, I learned the importance of pace and finding your pace and that consistency is more important than commitment. On Camino 3, I had a lot of physical trouble with my left foot. And on the Camino, you don't get to sleep in. You either walk or you quit. And I was miserable, really, really, truly walked like a snail for the last 28 days and
Oh,
hobbled into Santiago. And but it was my greatest lesson. And the
mm,
lesson was resolve. I had to walk whether I felt like it or not. And every single day since 2017, I'm reminded that I have to write whether I feel like it or not. I need to pick up the phone whether I feel like it or not. I need to have those hard conversations sometimes with clients whether I feel like it or not. So from that moment on, everything goes through the lens of whether you feel like it or not, you need to blank. And then this past summer, I walked Camino number 4. And for the first time, I went with a walking partner and my best friend from high school. And, um, and we were a really, really good and complementary match on the Camino. But I discovered, I would suspect, Rich, that you know that African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, take someone with you.
I was going to ask you about that whole dichotomy. Yes.
Oh, and I love that. I've always loved that proverb or that saying, but now this time it really came true because the Camino was so much richer and deeper, more meaningful, more fun by having taken my friend Jim along with me. And now tie that back to what I shared earlier.
Yeah.
Had I raised my hand early on in my entrepreneurial journey and said, I need somebody to go on the ride with me. I need to surround myself with the right resources. I need to take people that are smarter, more competent along with me on my entrepreneurial journey. Where might I be today?
Well, so many of us would have that little aha moment. And there is something about being a sole entrepreneur. And so many people are launching off, starting right now. And I know you've got years and years of consulting. When you reveal this truth of have others in your camp, have other people support you, share ideas, bounce ideas, what's the reaction? Because they're sole entrepreneurs. Is that a real?
Well, I hate to share this with you, but the truth is, they often give it lip service until they're faced with a crisis or a moment of truth, or they've beaten their head against the wall and they're at their wits' end. They often don't understand the power of bringing someone along with them for the ride.
Well said. I mean, and those are great lessons that people need to hear and understand. It's not a sign of weakness. You're actually better, stronger for reaching out. Now, I do want to applaud you. I read that starting in 2010, Mark, you launched a foundation for young entrepreneurs. You're not just talking about this now. You've been doing this for a while, investing in young entrepreneurs. And they, in the 30s, 30 somethings, a $3,000 grant to aspiring and help them be full-time business people. Where did that come from? What was the idea, the concept, the passion to give back at that level?
When I was 22 years old and stepping into this world of entrepreneurship, I went to Security Federal Bank in St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I walked in, and a gentleman by the name of Tom Tejan listened to my story, and I showed him a 2-page business plan, and he gave me a $3,000 loan. I used that. The money was gone in 90 days, but I used half of it to attend my first annual convention of the National Speakers Association. And that launched my dream. And as the story goes, I paid $82.64 a month for the next 48 months. But it launched my dream.
Yes.
And my friend, another Hall of Fame speaker, Ross Bernstein, came to my office in about 2010 or so, and he said, LeBlanc, you need to attach yourself to a cause. And so I came up with the idea to give $3,000 grants. We can't be in the business of loaning money, of course.
Right.
So I made the decision to gift $3,000 grants to entrepreneurs under 30. Last year, we gave a $3,000 grant to a 14-year-old girl who was starting her journey. And we have, now, of course, I have a crazy goal, to give $3,000 grants, and
Right.
we've given 30. So some days I think, oh my God, I've only given $33,000 grants. And then other days it's like, no, we got connected to 30 young people with the dream of starting or growing their business. And Rich, the greatest moments of my year are when I get a grant applicant on a Zoom call to kind of pepper them with questions. And they don't know who I am. And it's like, oh my gosh, but I encourage them and I ask them 1 or 2 hard questions, and they've already completed the grant application, and we've already decided that they're going to receive it, although they don't know it.
Right.
And at the end of the conversation, they will say, thank you, Mr. LeBlanc, for, your time. And I'll say, well, before we sign off, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to mail you a check for $3,000. And oh my God, and $3,000 today is not what it was in
Right,
1983
right.
when Tom Tejan gave me that loan. But here's a stranger in
Mhm.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, who's giving them a $3,000 gift to help them pursue their dream. It's just the greatest moment of my year.
Again, I applaud you for it because as an entrepreneur, having someone pour gasoline on a dream, invest in you, is such a mind-blowing thing and just inflames the heart and your passion to go one day further, one step further, like you said. So kudos to you for doing that, really. Um,
Oh, thank you.
you also have your own, well, first, let's step back a second. You talk about public speaking, authorship. One of the trips of surviving today in business as an entrepreneur is you need to open up other ways to bring in revenue. So being a public speaker, writing a book, doing a podcast, there's so many ways now you can bring attraction to you, elevate your brand, and make revenue outside your mainstream.
Hmm.
How important do you think that is, and how do you coach and help people get into that frame of mind?
Well, there certainly are, and the most common phrase I think today is multiple streams of
Right.
revenue. And so, whether you look at multiple streams of revenue or multiple profit centers, the most successful models are going to have typically three, four, or five profit centers in their business model.
Mm.
And each profit center usually has almost like a restaurant. They've got a number of offerings or products or services in each profit center. And I think it's mission critical. However, from a focus perspective,
Mhm.
if you don't know where your sliver of extreme focus is,
Yes.
you will gravitate every morning to which profit center is begging for your attention, as well as, oh, I don't feel so good today. Where would I be most comfortable working on?
Mhm.
And so I encourage people, and as an example, I've got five profit centers,
Mhm.
but my primary profit center is speaking.
And again, going back to all those different squirrels, there's all these different opportunities, knowing the order to expand that circle to say we're going to add this, but not add that one yet.
Yeah,
Be focused on the right assembly that you're doing for the brand of you.
that's right.
So you also run a retreat, and number 176 is coming up. I heard in November of 25, just around the corner from where you're doing this show. And I heard this is one of the funnest things that you really enjoy doing this as well. This is very special to you, right?
Well, this is the most fun I have in my business, and it's something that I'm really quite known for nationally and internationally. About 25 years ago, there were a number of very, very smart people that were putting on these 3 and 4 day boot camps,
Yeah.
and they were charging $10,000, and they started early in the morning and went till midnight, and they threw the book at you in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And it just didn't, well, A, I didn't have $10,000, and B, it didn't sit right with me.
Hmm.
And I thought, I learned from another legend in the speaking world. His name is Joel Weldon. When everyone is going this way, what if you went the other way? And so I began to play with the what I now call the anti boot camp. And I sat down and I sketched out a weekend retreat that starts at 3 o'clock Friday, ends at noon Sunday. And we called it the Achievers Circle. It's for up to 15 solo business professionals.
Yeah.
And um, little did I know it would become my signature work, the most focused, the most intense, the most fun, in
Mhm.
a relaxed way. And I'm very proud to share that it has stood the test of time. But here's the unique, crazy, insane thing:
Yeah.
um, There's no fee.
What?
Um, people make a $250 deposit for a seat, and then at the end of the weekend they write a check or put an amount on a credit card for whatever they felt the value was and what they can realistically afford to pay.
That I did not know. Now you're blowing me away. That is a really good, incredible give back.
Well, yes, it's a give back, but it's not a charity offering. It's a very serious and
Yeah.
legitimate business offering, and it makes me 100% accountable to deliver. And and there are some people who are so uncomfortable with it, but I make it safe for people to come, roll up their sleeves, do get some good help, do some good work, and then just trust their gut that you know that whatever they contribute at the end is the right number.
Fabulous. Again, another surprise moment here on Rock the Stage Show, which I absolutely love. When it comes to the brand of you, it's this idea that we are now the product, the service, we are known as Colonel Sanders, whatever it is. The big question I also give is, Trigger, how much of myself do I reveal? Because there's that line of family, other things, but there's also the know, like, and trust factor. They don't want to just know how good the product is. They want to know how trustworthy you are. What would you recommend on doing that dance of how do you show yourself, but keep something back and protect it?
I think you have to trust your idea or your ideas, and you have to tinker with what you reveal and what you don't. There are boundaries between work and home that should be strong and maintained.
Yeah.
But there are times when we need to give people a window into our world personally. And for example, you were so kind to bring up the Camino. My faith is
Yeah.
important. I go on a silent retreat with about 75 men every year. Well, if I was drawing a boundary between work and home and my business life and my personal life or my business life and my faith life, um, I don't think I would be as authentic and genuine and congruent if I was not hiding, but just sort of keeping those other important parts of me private.
And I think people now more than ever like the holistic person, not just
They
the
do.
business person. One more interesting thing I dug up on you, which is fun. This is so much fun to go find things. But you're a lifetime member of the International Listening Association since 1985. Now, I coach, consult, and let people know as a host, as a interviewer, the best thing you learn is how to be a good listener, to get good questions and have a great conversation. But I'm curious, what's the International Listening Association all about?
When I was in my early 20s, I met a gentleman who has been a mentor of mine for going on 40 years. His name is Dr. Lyman, or Man, nickname is Manny Style. And he's a Hall of Fame speaker. He put his arm around me 40 some years ago. And he was the founder of the International Listening Association. And he impressed upon me the importance of listening as a business skill. Yeah, personal, of course, but as a business skill. And I think the practice of listening carefully and responding appropriately, we all know what it feels like when somebody has listened to us well.
Yes.
But we all know when somebody has not listened to us well, or they're jumping on our words, and but most people think they are a better listener than they are. And so I think listening is the greatest gift that you can give another human being.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Mark, I'm going to bring up your website here because we want to let people know where to go find and get this great information. So, when they scan the QR code, what are they going to find there?
Well, our website, growingyourbusiness.com, you're going to find out about me as a speaker, me as a business coach. We have opportunities and some tools and some recordings, some resources that people can tap into. And Rich, I also stage my own small scale workshops and presentations, some for a fee, some for no fee. And so if somebody is listening and if they have resonated with what you and I have been talking about, they owe it to themselves to just take a glance at my site. And our newsletter is called High Value. And we'd love to have you become a part of our world.
Remember the website, Mark LeBlanc. You got to go check it out, learn more, hit that QR code. Now, Mark, I'm going to throw a couple of real fun ones. This is one of the fun times that I enjoy in the show. We're going to go a little bit off script here a little bit, but this is where we get to see where your imagination. We talked about creativity at the beginning of this. You've coached for decades. What's the funniest or most unexpected thing that's ever happened to you during a coaching session?
I fell asleep. And it and my coaching client, and gosh, I hope he doesn't come across this interview, but it was 4 o'clock or 4:30 in the afternoon. I'm an early bird morning person, and he was droning on and on and on about things that just didn't make any sense or capture my attention. And here's a case where I did not listen well. But if you can picture this, I sat back in my reclining chair and I put my feet up on the desk and I'm holding my phone, or maybe I had a headset on, I don't remember. And all of a sudden I nod off.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden I jerked awake.
Yeah.
And just like when you're coming out of a deep sleep, you might say something. And I don't remember what I said, but I think I said something like, "Yes, I like to go snowmobiling." And my client goes, "What?" And so all of a sudden I was backtracking, and not my finest moment.
Wow, did not expect that to come out of this. One last one, because they talk about momentum a lot here. But if momentum were a song, it's a theme in all you teach, what would that personal soundtrack, what would be the best song that you could put into your soundtrack and say, that's my theme song?
I wish we could play it right now, but I hate to say this, I have two. One is I'm Gonna Be by the Proclaimers. The I Will Walk 500 Miles.
Yeah.
Is sort of been my theme song. But just recently, in fact, I was on the Camino when I stopped in a tiny little store in a tiny little village to get something to drink. And there was this Spanish woman who did not speak very good English. And I not only bought some things, but I sat down and she gave my friend Jim and I some treats and some snacks and complimentary and a glass of ice water. And then she said, I want to play a song for you. And I had never heard this song before, by Whitney Houston. And the song is Step by Step. I'd never heard this song before. And if there was ever an anthem for life or business, I would encourage people to go to YouTube or Spotify and listen to that song, Step by Step, by Whitney Houston.
Mark LeBlanc, thank you very much. Again, this has been great to get your insights. You are just so much information, and your give backs and your investment in entrepreneurs is truly amazing. So thank you for taking the time to spend time with us on Rock the Stage Show tonight.
No, thank you, Rich.
Mark LeBlanc, again, the business, he knows the business, he's been in the business, he leads the business, and it sounds like he's having a lot of fun doing it. And I think that's part of the momentum drive, maybe too. If you stop having fun creating and doing your business, get that back. get back to fun, have a good time, and dream and build, and learn more and more about being the brand of you, because that know, like, and trust factor is opening doors for people all over the place right now. Take time, learn it, and come back next week for another edition of Rock the Stage Show, when we shine the light on amazing leaders from around the world in different categories, from actors, directors, singers, songwriters, athletes, and yes, business leaders. Join us next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, for another premiere of Rock the Stage Show.